Have you ever prayed for something so hard, cried for it in the middle of the night, and still felt like Allah wasn't listening? This is the story of a man named Hamza, a man who lost everything: his job, his health, his home, and still found a way back to light. Stay with me till the end, because this story might just change the way you see your own struggles. Hamza was 34 years old. He worked as an accountant at a small import company in the city. Nothing fancy, but it paid the bills, and it gave his small family a quiet, simple life. His wife, Sana, was a school teacher. They had one daughter, Mariam, who was 5 years old, with bright eyes and a laugh that could fill an entire house. Every evening, Hamza would come home, and Mariam would run to the door shouting, "Baba's home, Baba's home." And no matter how tired he was, he would pick her up and spin her around until she laughed so hard she couldn't breathe. Life wasn't perfect, but it was enough, and Hamza was grateful. Then, one ordinary Tuesday morning, everything changed. He arrived at the office to find the doors locked. A small notice was taped to the glass. Due to unforeseen financial difficulties, this company has ceased operations effective immediately. We regret the inconvenience. Hamza stood there, reading it again and again, as if the words might rearrange themselves into something else. They didn't. Just like that, after 8 years of loyal work, he was unemployed. No warning, no severance, nothing. He walked home that day instead of taking the bus. He needed time to think, time to figure out how he was going to tell Sana. When he got home, Sana took one look at his face and knew something was wrong. "What happened?" she asked gently. Hamza sat down slowly. "The company closed. I don't have a job anymore." Silence filled the room. Then, Sana did something Hamza never forgot. She placed her hand over his and said, "Allah opened a door for you once. He can open another." Hamza nodded, but inside he felt like the floor had disappeared beneath him. The first month wasn't too bad. Hamza had some savings. He spent his days sending out applications, going to interviews, following up on leads. "Don't worry," he told Sana. "Something will come up soon. I have experience, I have references." But weeks turned into months. Interview after interview ended the same way. "We'll get back to you. Unfortunately, the position has been filled. We're looking for someone with more recent experience." By the third month, the savings were nearly gone. Hamza started selling things: first his old laptop, then his watch, then books he had collected for years. By the fourth month, Sana's small teaching salary was the only thing keeping the lights on and food on the table. Hamza began to feel something he had never felt before: shame. He would sit in the masjid after Fajr prayer, long after everyone else had left, just staring at the floor. One morning, an elderly man named Uncle Rashid, who prayed in the same row every day, sat down beside him. "You've been here a long time, son," Uncle Rashid said. Hamza didn't answer at first. Then he said quietly, "I don't know what I'm doing wrong, Uncle. I pray, I work hard, I try to be honest, and still every door closes in my face." Uncle Rashid was quiet for a moment. Then he said something Hamza would remember for the rest of his life. "My son, sometimes Allah doesn't close a door because you did something wrong. Sometimes He closes it because you're standing in front of the wrong one. Sometimes He closes it just to see if you'll still knock on His door when every other door is shut." Hamza looked up at him. "Don't stop knocking," Uncle Rashid said. "Not on doors of people. On His door. That one never locks." Despite those words, things got worse before they got better. By the 6th month, they had to leave their apartment. The landlord was understanding for a while, but eventually, even patience runs out when rent doesn't come. They moved into a small room at Sana's sister's house. One room for the three of them. Mariam slept between her parents every night, on a thin mattress, on the floor. One night, Mariam woke up crying. She had a fever. Hamza checked his pocket. He had exactly enough money for either medicine or tomorrow's groceries, not both. He sat outside the room that night. After Sana finally got Mariam back to sleep, and for the first time in his life, Hamza cried. Not quiet tears, real, broken sobs. The kind of man tries his whole life never to let anyone see. He looked up at the night sky and whispered, Ya Allah, I'm not asking for riches. I'm not asking for an easy life. I just want to take care of my family. Is that too much to ask? There was no voice from the sky. No. Sudden miracle, just silence and the sound of his own breathing. But something inside him shifted that night. He realized he had been praying to Allah while still trying to control everything himself. He had been saying, I trust you, with his mouth, while his heart was still gripping tightly onto his own plans. That night, for the first time, he truly let go. He whispered, I don't know how this ends, but I know you do. Do with me what is best even if I don't understand it yet. And then, exhausted, he fell asleep right there on the cold floor outside the room. The next morning, Hamza woke up stiff and sore, but strangely calm. For the first time in months, the heavy weight on his chest felt slightly lighter, even though nothing about his situation had actually changed. He went to the masjid for Fajr. As usual, Uncle Rashid wasn't there that day. Instead, after the prayer, a young man Hamza didn't recognize approached him. Excuse me, the young man said. Aren't you Hamza? You used to work at Al-Manar Trading, Hamza blinked. Yes. How do you know? That, I used to be a junior clerk there, years ago. You helped me once remember. I made a huge error in an invoice, and instead of reporting me, you stayed late and helped me fix it quietly. You told my manager it was a system error. Hamza vaguely remembered. It had been such a small thing to him, barely worth remembering. I never forgot that, the young man continued. I now manage logistics for a small trading company. We desperately need someone who knows accounts, someone honest. It's 1A foreign. Not a big position. The pay isn't huge either, at least not at first. But, would you be interested? Hamza stood there, stunned. It wasn't a dream job. It wasn't even close to what he used to earn. But it was a door. A small, unexpected door opened because of a kindness he had done years ago and completely forgotten. He thought of Uncle Rashid's words. Sometimes Allah closes a door just to see if you'll still knock on his. He had knocked. And tonight, quietly, without fanfare, a door had. Creaked open, yes, Hamza said, his voice shaking slightly. Yes, I'm interested. Thank you. The new job was hard. Long hours, a long commute, and a salary that barely covered the basics. But it was something. It was dignity. It was a reason to wake up early again with purpose. Hamza worked harder than he had ever worked in his life, not because he had to prove anything to his new employers, but because, for the first time, his work felt like worship. Every honest hour, every late night, every small task done with excellence. He offered it to Allah. I'm not just working for a salary. Anymore, he told Sana one night. I'm working because this is the door he opened. The least I can do is walk through it properly. Months passed. Slowly, things began to shift. Hamza's attention to detail caught the eye of the company's owner. He noticed discrepancies others had missed. He saved the company from a costly mistake involving a supplier contract. Word got around that the new accountant was different, careful, honest, reliable. A year later, he was promoted to head of accounts. 2 years later, the company's owner, an older man without children to take over the business, began grooming Hamza for a much bigger role. 3 years later, Hamza was offered partnership in the company. None of it happened overnight. None of it felt like a miracle moment while it was happening. It felt like ordinary days, one after another, waking up, praying, working, coming home, sleeping, and doing it again. But looking back, Hamza realized every single one of those ordinary days had been carrying him somewhere. 5 years after that night, he sat crying outside his sister-in-law's spare room. Hamza stood in front of a new house. Not a mansion, just a modest, comfortable home with a small garden in the front. Mariam, now 10 years old, ran through the front door shouting, Baba, is this really ours? Hamza picked her up, just like he used to, and spun her around until she laughed. Sana stood in the doorway, watching them, tears in her eyes, not tears of sadness this time, but tears of quiet gratitude. Evening after Maghrib prayer, Hamza walked to the masjid. He hadn't seen Uncle Rashid in years. The old man had passed away during those difficult times, peacefully in his sleep. Hamza sat in the same spot where they used to sit together. He looked up and whispered, "You were right, Uncle. That door never locks. If you're going through a hard season right now, if every door seems to be closing, if your prayers feel unanswered, if you feel like you're doing everything right and still falling apart, remember Hamza's story. Sometimes Allah doesn't take things away to punish you. Sometimes He takes them away to redirect you towards something you couldn't have reached while still holding on to what you had. And sometimes the way out isn't a miracle that falls from the sky. It's a door that was already there, quietly waiting, that only opens once you stop trying to force open every other door yourself. So keep praying, keep working, keep being kind, even when no one's watching, because you never know which small kindness today becomes someone else's open door tomorrow. And above all, keep knocking on His door. It's the only one that never locks. If this story touched your heart, please share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this. 1. May Allah make every difficulty in your life a stepping stone to something better.